Hello, hello. Oh, see there's a few people watching already. Hello, just want to bring up something and then I'll drop the other something and then we're good to go. Grab that demo. Okay. So, hi. Today's another sick day if you were watching last Thursday, but I think I'm pretty much over it, so we should be good to go for a while. Let me raise that up a bit. So if you've been watching any of the recent streams at all, it was all geared towards getting a demo ready for Eirtakon anime convention, which happened just this past weekend in Croke Park. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and unfortunately I made myself far too sick to actually attend on Friday. But that was okay. I made the demo better on Friday, got in there for a full Saturday and Sunday, and got a lot of good feedback from people. So that includes, of course, it includes bug finding, things that never happened in testing, that happened live on the day. The best story about that is on the Sunday I had Fred the artist, Fred Mangan, in as well, and Steve Gregan, but Fred brought his laptop and someone was playing on that machine. And what I've got is a convention mode on the input manager, which I'll show you shortly, is very handy if you're in public. Convention mode is meant to restart the game after it receives no input for 90 seconds, which is plenty enough time for a convention. Like if no one sits down at your computer for 90 seconds without doing anything, they're already gone. Like if they pause the game and walk off, that's what happens so often, and I'll come over and the screen will just be blank and it's not inviting. Like there's an escape menu up, but it doesn't lure anyone in, and then I have to go over and press restart. Whereas if I'm busy talking to someone or I'm gone to the bathroom or anything, the game will restart by itself, and that's very helpful. But on Sunday, what we had on Fred's computer was a girl was playing, and it restarted as she was playing, and she didn't get mad. All credit to her. She sort of looked up, and I was there, and she's like, "Oh, it restarted," and I was like, "Oh, God, that shouldn't have happened." And I was thinking maybe she actually hadn't pressed anything for 90 seconds, but it was pretty unlikely because she was reading Fungus and stuff, but it wasn't the Fungus blocks. But I didn't know why it had happened, so we tried her on the other laptop that no one was on, and then she was in the middle of that, and that one restarted on her too. So I restarted both machines, and it didn't seem to happen again. But there's going to be a bug in there we want to find. And all credit to her, when it restarted the second time, she waited for me to quit the game, relaunch it, then she played from the beginning of the demo level again, all the way through to the end, and completed it. And it's about a 7-minute kind of length, depending on how well you're doing. So she really made my day. Just a nice person who was really patient with the bugs. So we'll get into them, but I just want to do a playthrough of what has been made. Essentially, last week I only showed 1 hour of development on it. So a lot's happened since 2 streams ago. So I'm just going to launch it as it was on the Sunday. I had a Saturday build and then fixed a few things, and then I had a Sunday build, but the convention mode wasn't on Saturday. So that's one of the things I put back on, but didn't have much time to test it because I hadn't changed anything since it worked 6 months ago. So hola Ben, how are you? Did you hear my story about that lady? She was Brazilian and extremely polite. Oh, she's Japanese descent from Brazil. So maybe the Japanese descent has something to do with it. She's just extremely polite and played the whole thing through. Whoops, I don't have my gamepad. 1 sec. the game. Okay, if you can hear me, I'm just going to restart the stream. Sorry about this, 1 sec. Okay, we should hopefully be back. Once I quit OBS, the stream came back on, or the game uncrashed. Little worrying. Haven't had that problem before. I've had all sorts of problems on the stream so far, but so far it didn't actually crash while my house internet was okay. So, hello Blindfold Studios. Where are you watching from? Or do I know you as a real name? So the Dublin. So chances are I do know you, right? I was talking about the convention mode before the stream crashed. We were only on for about a minute. So if anyone's watching this later, you didn't miss much. But there's a bug with the convention mode that is turned on. Essentially, when the game doesn't receive input from 90 seconds, it's meant to restart back to this screen so that anyone walking by sees something interesting. And they might go, oh, what's that? And then they sit down, they see this press start, demo mode, press start, press escape if you're using the mouse, as I just switched to. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, it's also useful as you can't see because my face is in the way, but up in the corner, I'll just move it for a second. I've here it is. You can see craft lost on either side and how many craft have managed to retreat and things. So I can use this for balancing. Just sort of let them fight each other for 20 minutes and then tweak statistics and things. And I ultimately want to set that up to do it, to automatically kind of do it for new units so they can balance themselves out. So far I just manually do it. But it's definitely a decent demo mode. I've also got this new death animation that I worked on for the demo where they always had that roll. Each craft here has a rolling animation. Now this one who died, I've added the rolling animation into most of the death spins, so they sort of flame out and explode more spectacularly. Yes, this is Unity. So mostly, this is the first time I'm actually going to play through a playable part of the game on stream. It's a relatively new stream. So right now we're in the Unity build. We're not in the editor, but we'll go to the editor after playing through once. I'm just going to move my face back. There's the editor, obviously, behind. So, yeah, we'll play it. Pretend you walked along and you saw this, you picked up, it says press start. So I've overlaid the main menu over it with most things disabled. The character pool is disabled, no options. In the build I put online, I will enable the website. I just didn't want anyone quitting out of the demo mode to open up an internet window and then getting afraid and walking away from the laptop and someone just sees Windows and not the attract mode. I didn't really want anything to break out of the attract loop. So new game. As soon as I pressed that, I knew something was about to go wrong. So this is the middle of the demo. I put in a checkpoint system based on player press, but I did this very late on Friday night. And it worked first time in most cases, except for when you do an odd kind of quit. So it should clear the player preferences for what checkpoint you're on whenever you quit out of this level. And it does when you press quit, but if you get out of it another way, like Alt F4 or something, it doesn't. So that's one thing we'll have to change. So I'm just going to restart back to the start of this level. So you've got this flying in intro, which is probably 3 weeks ago or so that this was on the stream. And there we go, we just fly in. The background color changes color every time we start the demo. could be one of 4 colors, and just didn't pick one. Just want to see what people reacted to. So at the start, I've disabled the afterburners, disabled any input for a few seconds, or not any input, but any objectives. Give you at least 10 seconds to wander around, try buttons. And then this fungus block comes up, which is a bit intrusive right now. The frame is kind of loud and big, bright, so I think I might take the frame away and see how well the text appears without any frame. So we'll have to, that text is black, so we'll have to change that. And yeah, I've had to get inside of Fungus a bit and change what the submit buttons are, because essentially if I fired or pressed pause or anything, I would skip to the next block. So I had to get in there and change it to be only the E key if you're using keyboard, and if you move the controller then it's only D down, so I can't accidentally skip by using normal controls. And I can show how that's done if anyone's using Fungus and interested. Thanks, Blindfold. I've been working on this full-time since May last year, and before that it was just an older, it was actually like my first Unity project. So essentially since May last year, but the art has only come in the last few months since Fred Mangan moved to Ireland. He was the artist on Guild of Dungeoneering. And he just saw it at one of the meetup events and suggested things for the art and wound up being the one to do them. So it's looking fantastic, and I have no part in that. The old prototype art is nearly gone, though for the last, today and maybe tomorrow is probably the last couple of days you'll be able to get the old looking demo on the RetroNeo Games Sons of Soul website. If you email me or something, I'll give it to you, but it's the last time the old demo will be available, and we're going to switch it out with this one once we fix a few bugs today, and probably do some of it tomorrow, which won't be on stream. But anyway, I press D down to skip this fungus block and get into the mission a bit. So fleet command tells your arrow leader the scans are showing a large object in your vicinity. It could be our missing transport, and you've no context for that. That's just the first thing you're told. There's been no briefing in this demo or anything. Divert to intercept, sending coordinates now, and you have to press the button to get the coordinates. So now it's spawned in a freighter. It'll be in a different place each time, but always a similar distance, so it won't take you too long to get there. And this is something I worked on a bit a couple of streams ago, but didn't get it right. This is essentially a GIF tutorial system, but Unity can't handle GIFs, so we just made really, really large sprite sheets that are like 50 megs each. And when I drop the quality of them, they're just not that nice to look at and not that useful anymore. So we'll see about optimizing that to bring file size down. But essentially on the stream, we kind of got this working, but not if you pause the game behind. Like, it was dependent on timescale. So now it's independent of timescale. Which essentially just allows you to... I bring this up and I stop all input working except for the one button that this tutorial is talking about. Unity handles videos now, not as a plugin. Right, yeah. Should work out of the box. Okay. Previously you needed QuickTime installed, and then QuickTime was a security risk a couple of months ago, and even then you needed a plugin, I think. So that's good to know. I wonder how big this would be. It's like a 50 meg thing for 80 images. So the video would probably be smaller, so that might be a good optimization. Thanks for the link. I will check that out later. I thought that the chat would block links. Maybe if anyone's watching on Twitch, I'm streaming on 3 different channels. Twitch Beam and YouTube Gaming. I don't know which of them might be blocking that link if anyone's interested, but it's coming up on my Restream chat. It looks okay, so, and it looks okay in Beam. I only have one of them open. I'm not going to open all 3. So we'll get on with this. So the only input I can press now is the input I want the player to learn. I just disabled it in script. Afterburners help you get around faster or to get behind an enemy. Press X to activate. be careful, they can use up nitro, which can't be refueled. So the problem I was having on Saturday was that players would press afterburn. They'd be pressing around any sorts of buttons to see what did what, and that was fine. But if they found afterburners before throttle, they would just take X to be the go button and not really realize that this was counting down. So on Saturday night I put in this tutorial. I kind of wanted it in the whole time, but I didn't get time before Saturday. So in the second build I disabled afterburners completely until this comes up. So now I can afterburn and get up there quicker. It still caps you out at a max speed. It's just, it raises what the max speed is and your acceleration is faster. Hello, Go Fungus. Have you seen your block come on yet? Sorry. You'll see it now. Oh, thanks for the other link as well. Here, okay, it's coming up in about 2 seconds. Here's the fungus block. So this is Fred's take on, I sent him the standard fungus block and just said, can you do our style on this block so we get that header, so we can use the different colored text, and that's actually reused from our command menu. So I didn't really have a image for a fleet command person, so I just used a picture of a fleet. But yeah, this works, and the only input that will skip the fungus block is if I'm using keyboard, if it detects the mouse or something, E. And I've animated your skip icon. And if I switch back to gamepad, it detects that and switches the icon. And I was a little worried about would players can be really dumb. No offense to them, but they can, I suppose it's that I just mean to say that they don't notice what you think they'll notice. But everyone pretty much got past the fungus block. Didn't cause them any trouble. A few people said the writing was quite good, so I was happy about that. And I really enjoyed using fungus to make this level. It just made it a lot easier and let me take a lot of things out of scripts like bools, and I just managed to keep it much tidier in the fungus flowchart, which we'll show in the editor after we're done playing through the demo. So we've got this destroyed looking freighter, and if you were watching the intro to the level, we really quickly flew past 3 non-destroyed versions of this, which will appear later. So the fleet's saying that this doesn't look like impact damage. It was, look, most of the cargo containers are missing. It must have been pirates. We need to verify that this is indeed the wreckage of the Endeavour. I just made up a name. The objective's up behind my face there in the stream. It says search for the missing ship Endeavour. So this is like a made-up story mission. It's not necessarily going to be part of the game, but I just managed to make a microcosm of a lot of the mechanics and a lot of the tones that the game will have, particularly towards the end of this. But for right now, you're like, pirates. Okay, so the game's partly about pirates. Fly alongside the bridge and hold steady so we can read the name off the hull. So importantly, in the old demo, you could die pretty much straight away. So still, so far in this demo, there's been nothing that can hurt you. You can't collide with this. There are no danger asteroids, if we want to distinguish between those background ones and the foreground ones. You can't have died yet. There's nothing you can do wrong yet. So I just wanted to make sure people knew how to move and stuff before putting them in danger. So here's a movement challenge, which is fly close to the bridge so they can identify if this is really the ship they're looking for. That's her, alright. No signs of life from the bridge either. The crew must have been taken. And then I use a fungus continue instead of a say. Just go or worse. So it just prints more on the previous sentence. Just wanted to make use of that at some stage. Oh, and here we found that bug. So the convention mode, it's on in this build and it restarts the game after 90 seconds of no input, but I was obviously using input. A new game should start this from the start of the whole level when you pick new game from the main menu, but it doesn't. So in this case, that's alright because it's putting us back pretty much where we were. Just have to do that movement challenge again. But identifying why that convention mode reset while I was playing, which is a major issue. Though the only person I saw it happen to was the most patient girl in the world and sat through it happening to her on 2 different machines and then still completed the whole demo. So thanks to her. It didn't go as badly as it could have, but I think there was a guy later who wanted to complain to me, and it might have been about that, but I wasn't around. Just someone else told me. So he'll email me. My business cards are on the table. He can email me if he really felt strongly about what he wanted to say, which, according to one of the other devs, he did. But we'll see. And it might have been because the game reset on him while he was having fun. That's sort of what I hope it was, because that's not obviously part of the design. So, but if he hated something that I loved, then that's a problem. Anyway, that's her all right. No signs. Crew must have been taken. We'll send an assault shuttle to check it out, but we haven't drawn an assault shuttle yet, so that's not going to be part of this. It doesn't look good. Just watch your back. The pirates could still be around, and then this fungus block times out. Oh, that happened again. And yeah, I don't mind it happening because I'm still trying to identify why, but I think I was moving the mouse around there, wasn't I? So I think it's to do with switching between keyboard and mouse, and it's then looking for input on... It's sort of like saying, oh, I'm going to reset if you don't press something on the keyboard, and I'm not, because I'm using the gamepad, so then it resets after 90 seconds. That could be what's happening, but the reset also only seems to happen in this area, and there's no reason that should be the case that I can think of. There never is until you really learn why a bug happened, but there's no reason it should have happened until you learn why it really happened. But, alright, so we skip past this. Yeah, it's not that hard to get the dual control support. You just have to have a script running all the time that is looking for input. If it knows you're using keyboard, you just look for gamepad input and then switch things. And it's a static script, so anything in the game that changes icons, like HUD icons, I have it looking for that. Okay, so that was the first enemy. Dead easy for me. And this is the single biggest sticky point for people. It was just getting used to the movement and stuff. Like he'd zip past them and they'd sort of keep drifting up this way and they'd turn, but they just wouldn't think of accelerating, so they're still moving away from him and without turning back the other way. Because it's Newtonian physics still. Though the demoing at Eirtakon has made me think maybe I'll put in a space brake, which is like if I'm not accelerating, it would just stop. Or, slow down and then stop. To be more like normal games, but I sort of liked how it stood apart. So that's one I'll pay attention to for a while. It also going to very much change how you fight, because right now you can move along and then turn and kind of do real space moves that you'd see like in Battlestar Galactica a lot. You can do those moves in this, but not if I add a gamey space break. Regroup with the rest of your patrol, but watch out for asteroids. So that first enemy was the first thing that could kill you. And then these asteroids can hurt you as well. Now if I get damaged twice, on day one people were just dying because they didn't think of dodging these things. But if I get hurt twice, I brought in this tutorial. And so as I said, I disable all buttons except the one I want them to learn. So in this case it's the B button. Now if I was using the keyboard there, that where it says B button would say left control. Now I was going to move the mouse to point, but I don't want that bug to happen again right now. Actually I will. If it happens again, then we'll know. So I want to put up like B button up here on the GIF, but that's something I'll either do on the stream or tomorrow. It's just, notes to add to the feedback from Eirtakon. I also kind of want to have a last line in here that says press B button now, because I kind of forgot to do that, so people were a bit slow about getting past this screen because the last sentence wasn't press B to continue. So anyway, I press B and I continue, and now I know to dodge asteroids, hopefully. People forgot that, but what can you do? I taught them, they'll learn. Oh, and actually I told you about the girl who was really, really patient with the game restarting on her. She's the only single person who paused the game and looked up all of the controls, then switched from using the gamepad to the keyboard to see if she liked it, and then switched back to the gamepad and looked up the controls again, and then the game crashed on her twice. She completely made my weekend. Just she's the most polite person who actually explored every part of the demo that I had built, including the control screen that I made. So at least someone looked at it. That's how I feel. So we've rejoined our wingman. They say, glad to see you're still in one piece. We don't have animated faces. In the old prototype we did, because it just had my shitty art and whatever, but now we haven't got as far as making the good art animate, but we have them in. So Wingman Arrow 2 says, glad to see you're still in one piece. Just about, anyway. Are we moving on? I've got a bad feeling about this place. Now there's going to be a tutorial for the orders. So you can't progress. You can die here because there are asteroids around, but it'll restart from here, so that's okay. And we're just being told how to use the radial menu. So it says move the stick around and press the fire button to select things. Form up and cover me are quite similar. They look the same, but it's how the enemies or how your allies behave when you're in this. So now they're formed up on you and they'll follow you around, but it's not what I wanted players to use. So they're still saying every 10 seconds, thanks to a fungus repeat loop that I'm doing. If a command hasn't been sent, they'll keep saying this every 10 seconds. Order us to cover you when you're ready to move out. And there's nothing else on this map. They can't... well, that wreck is still here from earlier. We could fly over there, but it's not going to do anything. So nothing... The game can't advance now until they do... I hope I find the bug too, Ben. Enjoy your meeting. If it's that kind of meeting. Sometimes they're just not. So they're telling us, give us the right order, basically, to move out. So I'll give them the cover me order. So even if the player's damaged at this stage, the idea is that the wingmen are way more competent than the enemies. And they'll protect you through the rest of the mission as long as you're not overly unlucky. And as long as you dodge these next few asteroids. So the commander comes back and says... we're pretty much halfway through the demo now. So the commander says there's a civilian convoy not far from your position. They request an escort. It seems they heard about the endeavor. They're willing to pay, so let's get going. We've got a business to run. So that's just the first hint that you're a private military company as opposed to the army. So there's, in the design anyway, there's upgrade paths based on getting money and very much an Xcom kind of a feel to it. Do missions for money, fail them, you don't get it or don't get as much, and use the money to upgrade your ships and things like that. So we're told to go over here. Now that bug has meant that my afterburner isn't working, so it'll take a little bit longer, but only about 40% longer, and we'll be there in 30 seconds, just guessing from how fast the counter's coming down. So I think nobody at all found this map. It'll be more functional. Right now it just shows you things, but it's in the game. We've shown it on the stream before. Right now what it'll do is it'll intelligently zoom the camera out if you're on a big ship or on a small ship. If I use the same camera size to show the fighter as the really large ship, you would just lose one or the other. So the ships are over here. The waypoint is here. That's where we're heading. The camera does tell you it says waypoint move, and it shows you where the camera is. Just happens to be on a ship, so we're pretty much seeing both. So the ships are already there. We're just trying to get there. I've spawned them outside the asteroid field so that you don't need to deal with asteroids for the entire rest of the mission. So pretty much now they stop spawning asteroids, so whatever's here will leave. Or once these asteroids despawn, there's no more. Freighter Captain says, good to see you. Arrow Squadron will feel a whole lot safer with you watching our backs out here. Just before I advance this and wind up spawning more enemies, I'll point out two things. There's a sprite sorting bug you can see with this asteroid passing through the certain parts of the container. And then you can see that the stems on the containers are kind of clipping in above and below the thing. And that's mostly because I'm using a perspective camera now instead of orthographic, so I can't just set things to be lower and expect them to show up lower, because the center of the largest ship sprite is like here where I am right now, but then the center, like the position, when I say the center, like the position of this is here, but if I move to here, then that position is now further from a perspective camera than just being in a straight down line. It's not, because it's a diagonal line, because it's perspective. So now this container is closer, so it's appearing above the other sprite, even though it's in the Z depth is 0.1 lower, so I wanted it to come in behind. Unity teased the experimental 2D stuff that they'll soon have Z depth sorting order standard. So I could fix it with script, and I sort of have already, but I think it'll cause a few graphical bugs as well. Not bugs, but just like some things won't have gone behind, and just because not everything's on the exact same logic. So instead of messing with it, I just left these little glitches in, and in a few versions, hopefully Unity will have that fixed themselves without me having to work on it. If not, I'll fix it myself before releasing, but hopefully before release, like I'm hoping in 2 or 3 months, Unity's next version will have it. Z depth sprite sorting order. Excuse me. So, sorry. Need dual control support, he said. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong chat, so I was only seeing some of the messages. But dual control support. It's annoying that when I open any other window on the other monitor, it closes this one, but whatever. So we'll get on with this. The pirates love to ambush the mining ships as they leave the asteroid fields. Looks like you'll have plenty of security work until the Coal-Rear government can clean up this sector. So that's just a really quick summary of the start of the game story in a microcosm. And then we'll get the game's tone after this section. So you see these 3 streaks coming up the way. We worked on this a bit on the stream before. It's enemy ships spawning from depth. So they're not actually here yet, they're here now. But it's kind of a warning that they're approaching, instead of them just appearing far away in your radar and then flying onto screen really quickly, if you didn't look at your radar. Plus it looks kind of cool. So I didn't do much there. Actually, I didn't even get a kill out of the 3 guys, and I'm pretty good at the game. So the wingmen are doing a lot of work to keep you alive in this order me mode, or sorry, in the cover me order that we tutorialed earlier. Now, something I didn't get in was you have missiles kind of tutorial. So the only people who knew they had missiles were the ones who looked at controls, spotted missiles, and then happened to, like, if I press missiles now, nothing happens because there's no one to lock onto. And that includes, it should probably say, no target or something, just to give you some kind of feedback, but right now it doesn't. So missiles weren't really a part of this demo. They're in it, but no one knew, essentially. And there's our occasional slow motion kill cam, which is just kind of a random chance to go slow-mo. Anyone I was sitting there and told about the missiles, they just beat the demo real easy. Though the enemies can dodge, they can't dodge the missiles, but if they're already dodging, they will dodge the missiles. Right, so the freighter captain said a minute ago, that must be the last of them, so you're getting there. So you killed the last few, and he says that's it, they're all either dead or running. So actually, I think it's 75 seconds that they're spawning for. And again, that's just a fungus wait block, so it saved me using bools and timers in a script. I just put in a single line of fungus that said wait 90 seconds, and then spawn this text that says, actually no, after the 90 seconds I had to check that they're all dead, but so or 75 seconds it was. And then after that I go to a bool, and so I go to a script and then say, now, don't waste your time doing this every frame, but now that we're 75 seconds into the spawning, check that all enemies are dead, and once that's dead, it sends a message back to Fungus, and Fungus does this, and then... So control is always pretty much switching between my script that I wrote just for the demo and Fungus, and they kind of pass control over a lot. And Fungus is the handier place to have it insofar as possible. And I'll show you in a sec. So Fungus is pretty much going to close out the level now. It says that's it. They're all either dead or running. Oh, the bug happened. Okay, I'll show you that in the editor maybe. So we're done with the demo, but I'll just show you the very end of it. So convention mode is I guess my top bug. So on the demo director script, I have the access to the checkpoint system. Escort complete. Hopefully we can jump in there. Do we miss anything? No, this is exactly where we were. Okay. That's it. They're all either dead or running. That'll teach those filthy savages to mess with human might. And there's a bit of a tonal hint about themes. So like the freighter captain who was all afraid and in danger and you're protecting him a second ago, he's now... What would be the right word? Well, xenophobic, certainly. Racist? Space racist? So he drops that little S-bomb or whatever. And just, we make nothing of it. And it says, many thanks, Arrow Squadron. We're sending payment through now. Expect to hear from us again before our next run. So that's just setting up business ties. And then your commander comes back and says, pleasure doing business with you. This isn't you talking, this is your commander who was telling you at the start to go to the wreck and stuff. It says safe travels, and then it's fade to black. I know Fungus fades to black, but I already had my own version of that, so that's what I used. Yeah, nothing should have happened there at the very end, but it did like 3 things, so... Just want to disable the convention mode and see if the end of that level goes wrong again. I think the first thing we'll do is look at the Fungus flowchart and then look for the convention mode bug. Okay, let's skip through the text. Pleasure doing business with you. So this should fade out. It disables... I'll just start spinning, right? Once I stop spinning, you'll know that the control's disabled now. So I can't bring up the escape menu anymore. This time it did fade fully to black. There was, I don't know if you could see it, but it was like one tone of black away, so I could still kind of see through to the level. And then it unpaused itself. And then it restarted the game. So, and then I hadn't pressed restart. So that's what happened in our build a second ago. So like, while I want to get this build online and just let people play it and get feedback, I want to fix those things first. So well done, you extracted successfully in the full game. This will take you back to the strategy map and your gains and losses would update the larger war game. Thanks for playing the demo. In the build I put online, I'm going to have a third button in here, feedback. That'll open a Google form. I got about a dozen pieces of feedback online on the old demo. I also had very small traffic on it then, but you know, a few people do leave it and it's always valuable. Particularly if people are downloading builds, they'll never necessarily talk to me about it. So just giving them a direct line to leave feedback is good, with a few leading questions and, you know, how did you enjoy it, 1 to 10 or something. So if I restart, it should go back. Yeah, but now because we're in the editor, it actually goes back to the checkpoint, but restart in the build should go back to the start of that level. And here's our little debugs for set new int is just 3rd checkpoint, 4th checkpoint. Deleting checkpoint there happened as we quit. Which should mean when you next go in, it brings you to the start. Okay. I think GoFungus Chris is still in the chat. Maybe he can tell me if it's possible to do something in Fungus. So this is the flowchart. It's not your normal Fungus looking flowchart where the lines all connect. What instead happens is pretty much all of them activate on a message received. So it's in the script that I'm like, all right, once the player knows how to move, like we've had the input control for move, and once they're 10 units away from the starting position, or I think it was 30 actually, then send this WD message for wreck detected to Fungus, and then Fungus starts playing this block. He says how he is, so you're in there. Okay. So what I'm wondering is pretty much every block in the game either fades because I pressed the input or because I had a wait. Let me just try find a wait one. Yeah, okay. So if I start the demo from the first enemy part, here will come a fungus block that won't fade. This won't go anywhere unless I press, this one will. Maybe I'll go back actually one checkpoint. So the normal fungus blocks don't fade with time. They wait for click by default. So this one comes up and it just waits for time. Then the rest of them for a while will be, if I skip to the end, it completes the text and then I have to press the button to advance. I can't. Time won't bring me past this block. I have to press it. Same with the next one, But then I had several occasions where there's more going on. I kind of want to throw up the info but not leave it there. I don't want to distract the player too much. So when the enemy is about to come, like this one here, watch your back, those pirates could still be around. There's no, I've had to kind of pause it to show. You're right, paused. Oh God, it's in the wrong size. Okay. There's no skip block because I haven't pressed wait for input. But I didn't want it to fade as soon as it was done. So I said wait for 3 seconds. So the block before I've gone printed out but don't fade when done and don't wait for click. Then wait for 3 seconds. Then say another block of nothing and fade when done, so it'll fade straight away, and don't wait for click, just so it definitely fades. But in this case I would like to be able to not this will always stay up for 3 seconds and then disappear, and I'd like to be able to have it either fade or wait for the input, but I didn't find a way to be able to time out messages that are waiting for input, if you get me. I could only go with one or the other, and even this was a bit of a hack to like say this but don't fade, wait for 3 seconds and then say nothing to fade. So I wasn't sure if I could combine them to have either wait for input or timeout. Yeah, you get me. Okay. There's a bit of a delay, so I might have over-explained while waiting. Very useful to have you particularly in the chat today, because it was one of the top questions I had after developing it last week. Don't support that exactly. That's all right. Click on tag help. Oh yeah, is this the W equals 3 or whatever? Or is there a wait for input actually? Can I make this larger on the screen? If I could make this larger for people to read would be handy, but I can't seem to zoom in on it. See W tag and also the X tag to exit automatically. Maybe a combination? Okie doke, right. So I could have waited, done a wait, and followed by an X, but also had the wait for click command in the block. And that way I could have skipped past the wait part. Okay. So I did play around with this W. I usually I had W equals 3 at the end of this. Instead of actually putting in a weight block, I just had W equals 3. But I found that if you did press the advance button, it advances including past that 3-second wait. So it wasn't durable enough, essentially. No, that's fantastic. That is exactly what I wanted in a few cases. Like when the enemies are about to show up, I was trying to time it well to be out of the way before the enemy comes, but also wanted the player to be able to get rid of it once they'd read it. But I didn't manage to get both in. But okay, I not necessarily going to do that now, but that will be a very nice addition, at least for the downloadable version of this. Okay, so these are the fungus blocks. I just laid them out in this way. We do those 3, then this one spawn the enemy. The enemy can retreat if you bring him down to 1 health without killing him. Don't know if I had a fungus if block anywhere. Yeah, here. If he is retreating, it says, he's running, he might try to take him out, but watch for asteroids, and I'll spawn asteroids then to give an interesting chase. Pretty much no one got it, but if someone had thought to use afterburners, dodge, and firing together, which isn't no one gets it in their first 5 minutes of play, but it's definitely quite an easy thing to do once you're playing a few minutes. Then they'd have a nice little chase scene going on if they'd managed to get the guy down to 1 health. And so there's a bool about have warned about asteroids. And so if I haven't warned about asteroids, there's an if block that says, well done, once you've killed them. If you've warned about asteroids, the text block is you should regroup with the rest of the patrol, but if you haven't already warned them, it's, but watch out for asteroids. So we don't say watch out for asteroids twice. I suppose that's as easy to do in Fungus as it is in script if you know how to script, but I don't know, I wanted to use as much of Fungus as I could because most of the Fungus stuff I was using for the first time, and it's so handy. So I'd sort of finish this block and say, all right, now we're heading for the convoy, and then call the head for convoy script, or the head for convoy function on the demo script. And sort of, I'd leave Fungus then, and the demo script would be waiting to see once you were within a certain distance of that, and then it would send a message back to Fungus and say reached convoy. So I never really passed through Fungus in the adventure, the way the text adventures are sort of set up, but I managed to take a lot of weight and length off the demo script itself, where it's 900 lines. It could have been twice that. And so this one fungus block that actually handles most of the end of the level, spawn, say everything, wait 75 seconds worth of spawning, then turn off the enemy spawner, then wait 3 seconds and give a message, and all of that. So Fungus carried a lot of weight, and I only started putting it in on Tuesday or Wednesday, and straight away I was like, this is a lot easier to write narrative-based demo. Whereas the game's largely going to be systems-driven. But suddenly I was like, I can make a lot more story elements to it, I guess, easily mid-mission, and do a lot more storytelling without adding much workload other than writing a few lines here and there. Everyone says that about Fungus. That's probably not much news to you, but that's free advertising. Anyone else who isn't Chris who's still watching, Fungus is good. I can make my own tag. Okay. So that's enough about Fungus. Or is it? Actually, I did want to ask, do you have a Fungus Twitter that isn't Chris Gregan Go Fungus? to actually tag the made with fungus stuff you have now. Like if you have a hashtag for that, I'd use it here and there whenever I have room at the end of a tweet, which is not every time, but sometimes. Because I'm an instant convert. I've been saying for a long time that I would put fungus in the game, but never was at the stage where I needed it yet. But super handy for doing this demo. And so I want a lot of the game's missions to be systems based, but like semi-procedural. But then there would be, like they sort of the grinding missions, if you want. And then have the story-based missions be a lot more text-heavy, a lot of characters, and or at least relative to the nothing of the other missions. But just, yeah. I now know exactly how I will and want to do that, and how easy it would be, and particularly how easy it would be to localize as well through the Fungus's localization export stuff. Export the spreadsheet. So yeah, thanks for that being free. Nice one. Free is affordable. Go fungus and hashtag made with fungus. Okay, I will do that. I wasn't sure if you wanted go fungus or if that was like personal account, but okay, I can use those for tweeting. What were we going to do? We're going to look at the convention mode shit now. Just because I don't want to run into the exact same problem in 6 months or something without having fixed it. Convention mode is going to be off for the demo. Like, my priority now is get this fixed a little bit and then uploaded so that people can play it and give feedback. So I don't need to change much, but turning the convention mode off is something I will do. Actually, I've already clicked it. So this won't and can't reset, but the next time I head to any sort of public meetup, I'm going to turn it back on again, and I want it to not reset while people are playing. So let's have a look. What does confuse me about it is that nothing I changed, to my knowledge, was in this input manager, which is handling the convention mode. Yeah. Let's find references to this, and let's just take a peek at what's happening. Not a lot. In update on this script, which is in every game scene, if convention mode, there's a timer as well that goes with that. Restart time, 90 seconds. If input.any key, restart timer. I'm pretty sure that's any key, as opposed to just keyboard and not gamepad. I just want to debug that. I shouldn't really care about spelling in something I'm going to delete in a second, but apparently I do. Okay. Just going to see exactly what input.any is. I knew before, and I think I know, I just don't want to make assumptions while I'm bug testing. Oh, convention mode is off, so turn it on. Okay, input when I clicked, input when I strafed, input when I'm using anything on the keyboard. Including while we're paused, actually. Well, it's not editor paused, but game paused. So, yep, taking all that input. Not taking mouse movement. Yes, taking mouse clicks. Yeah. On the gamepad. Let's resume. Gamepad sticks, no, nothing. Accelerators, no, nothing. Okay, but strafing, yes. So actually, I'm pressing like A, B, X, Y. The right buttons, the start button, the select button, those are all inputs. Clicking the sticks are all inputs. Moving the axes though, so moving either stick or either trigger is not doing it. And probably the D-pad. Yeah, so the D-pad, the sticks, and the triggers are not counting as input. That's probably the problem right away, because it seemed to happen while people were around the rec and the movement challenges. And it even happened to me there. So there's no reason to be firing. Pretty much the only thing you need to be pressing now is D down, which is an axis, which isn't getting registered. D down to skip fungus. So the D-pad isn't detecting. The acceleration is not detecting as input. Actually, nothing's detecting as input right now because, again, I had convention mode off. Where's the input manager? Oh, here it is. Turn it back on. Alright, so yeah, so D down, it's not gonna, let me clear that because I accidentally pressed a different button. Okay. D-pad's not doing anything. Accelerator's not doing anything. The sticks aren't doing anything. And so you're probably going to be here. If you've any sort of trouble with the movement challenge, you're definitely going to be here longer than 90 seconds. And even waiting for this enemy to appear, there's no need to be firing at him. Firing would restart the 90 seconds. But there's no reason to be firing before he gets there, so you could quite conceivably get to 90 seconds without any input. Thing is, I never saw that bug before, and I've used convention mode at least for 4 full days worth of time, and I've never seen it before. I'll leave it there for now. So essentially setting it to 0 over the update where... Why am I doing fixed delta time actually? Should be time delta time. It's not going to make a huge difference to 90 seconds. It'll still feel like 90 seconds-ish. Although if I'm paused, maybe... That was another bug I had actually. Let's see. I'm going to set this down to 3 seconds. Now I'm on time delta time. Oh, okay. I think I've just figured it out myself. But let's see. Press nothing for 3 seconds. Restarts probably. Yep. If I rest on the escape menu, time.timescale is 0. So what happens? After 3 seconds. Yeah, so it doesn't, like, I do want it to restart from here after 90 seconds. I want it to count this as time, because a lot of people just, you know, as you do, like you're playing on your own at home, you pause the game and walk away for dinner or something. So people, when they're leaving my laptop station at the table, they pause it and walk away, and if the pause... Yeah. Okay, so I had it on fixed delta time. Sorry. They would pause it and walk away, and the pause wouldn't reset, and I do want it to. So fixed delta time, I must have realized that about delta time before, and I was like, oh, that won't work. I'll use fixed delta time, but that won't work either, will it? 2, 3. Yeah. So... the things we learn in 6 months, that should have been unscaled delta time all along. This actually only solved one. What the hell just happened? They restarted very quickly. Let's see. Time.unscaled delta time. It's happening in about a half a second. Let's see. Set the input to be 10 seconds. Let's see how long it actually takes. There's a timer up here. 6, 7. Oh crap! I clicked, so that'll undo it. Timer up here. Let's see if this gets to 10 seconds. I think it'll restart earlier than that. Yeah. Oh, player walked away analytic. Yeah. I'm going to turn off analytics. Where do I have it? What script is it on? Yeah. On the demo director script. Alright, I don't want to send all these shitty Unity analytics through of just me starting and stopping the level. I want that'll really muddy up the analytics I actually gathered. And I've probably mucked it up about, put in about 20 false analytics already today. Oops. So the player walked away analytic. Anyway, that happened about, was it 8 seconds or so? But why, when I was at 3, did it restart so quick? Unscaled delta time. That should be the same as delta time at 1, but no, that's obviously not 3 seconds. But when I'm at 0 timescale, as when I'm paused, it should be still the 3 seconds or whatever I set it to. Is it 5 seconds to see how far we go? 2. Yeah. I want to say there's no reason that should be happening, and then, of course there is, because it's happening. There's no reason I can think of that should be happening, unless the time scale is... Let's just print out the timer. Oh, it started at 3, I think. Did it? It didn't print. Yeah. It started at 3, so did I have something public that I didn't want to be? No. Why did it start at 3? This worked before, you know? I didn't think twice about turning on convention mode because it worked perfectly before. At that time it started at 2. Oh, maybe it's only unscaled because it's from when I go now. Maybe. If we go back to 90. Alright, talk to you, Chris. Thanks for watching. I was going to say, if anyone's in the chat and knows what I'm doing wrong, say it. Chris probably would have been the most likely. I think it's getting a big jump between me pressing play and it sort of appearing to start, because that's about 2 or 3 seconds. I think it's doing that. I'm not setting it to 3 anywhere, you know. Okay, so let's not worry about that too much. Let's go back to worrying about it actually resetting after... I'm going to say 10 seconds because of that weirdness going on, but if I press escape... oh yeah, it'll start the 10 seconds because I press escape, but... Actually, I didn't need to set 10, but it should restart from the pause menu. Okay, I wanted that. I didn't want it to start at 2 seconds, but I think in a build it'll actually start from 0 seconds because the editor is going like play. Now we're 0, 1, 2, 3, and now starts, and it's starting from about 3. So I think that's what's happening with unscaled delta time. And it doesn't matter because I'm not talking about a 4-second timer or anything. I'm talking about a 90-second timer. So now it will restart from the escape menu, which I could swear it did that before. Because I tested that convention mode extensively the first time, but maybe I just stupidly at some stage changed it to be fixed time instead of unscaled delta time. Maybe I did that. I don't remember doing that, and it doesn't make sense why I would have, but okay. We solved one of the 2 convention mode problems. And we half solved the other one. So we're getting there. So now it'll restart from the escape menu. That's one problem solved. The other problem is it restarts while people are playing. And that is because it doesn't register the gamepad axes. Left trigger, right trigger, D-pad, left or right stick. It doesn't register that as input.any key. But it does register all the other gamepad buttons. So, I could set the restart timer to be, 3 minutes instead of 90 seconds, but just so they get through that section, but, that's not a solution. Also, it means it'll take 3 minutes of sitting on the escape menu before it restarts on anyone, and I don't want that either. So we just need to check for axes input. Is there an equivalent of this for axes? No, not and or input dot. Just want to see, is there anything? Get axis. I want to say like get axis any instead of checking for all of them. But it only takes a string, so I have to be specific. There's got it. Well, I want to say there's got to be a way to get input from any axis. Like, it's not counting mouse movement either, because it's not binary, I guess. This is pretty much only taking binary input. And I have to get rid of that because it doesn't make sense. Okay. There's an input manager. We'll look at what's that here. Oh no, this is the input manager. Okay, so we're in the right place. Let's see where else. So this is the part where I check for, switch those buttons to between showing the E key if you're on the keyboard, or switch it instantly to being D-pad down if you're on the. It's in the fungus blocks if you then switch to gamepad. And the way I do that is annoyingly check for everything on the controller. Or actually, not. That's not the one. This one is the one. Essentially here it's saying if you're getting input from keyboard mouse. Oh god. The webcam has died again today. It's not that the webcam's died, it's that OBS seems to have lost it. It just frozen the image. If anyone ever notices that happening, just give me a shout and I'll turn it off, because there's no way to get it back on that I've found. If I turn it back on, it's still a frozen image. Yeah, so let's turn it off. It's quite annoying. Maybe an update will fix it. I don't know. It's not a major issue. It's only annoying. Because again, there's no way of knowing how long that was actually frozen. It worked at the start, and then sometime between 3 o'clock and 4:20 it stopped working. Ugh. Okay. I don't want to be checking for every single input, But I guess I already am, so I can use this. I would love if Unity just had input dot any from joypad or gamepad. I think they call it joystick. No matter what it is, they call it joystick. I would love for Unity to just be smart about that. But upon talking to a lot of people, I think you just have to check for everything, as I am here. Okay, so see, I'm only checking for this if I'm using keyboard. So while I'm using the gamepad, I'm not actually checking for gamepad input because that would be wasteful. So when I'm using the gamepad, I'm only checking for keyboard input. So unless I check for both all the time and then reset the convention timer whenever it detects anything. Seems like a stupid solution though. Like double the amount of checks every frame. I don't know how expensive it really is. But it's definitely stupid. How much else am I doing in here? Update, change input. I turn the mouse cursor on and off depending on cursor.visible equals true or false. Depending on whether I switch to gamepad or not. Input from keyboard mouse is where I check for that. And input dot any key is already checking everything about the keyboard, so I don't need. Yeah, I still need this in because I can't go input dot any key because that includes gamepad 0 or gamepad. Yeah, well, gamepad button 0 is the A button and 0, 1, 2, 3, A button, B button. Actually, I just bring it up. So joystick button 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Clicking the stick is 8. Clicking the right stick is 9. All of them count as input.any key, and none of these do. Left trigger. The third axis is left and right trigger together. It goes from -1 to 1. But if you want it on its own, it's 9th axis for left trigger, 10th for right trigger. And I only want to be checking for them right now. So I could say input dot whatever I've actually named these for. But I can't because like input dot get axis accelerate is these triggers and the up arrows. So God, I just gotta make like stupidly waste space to put in new inputs just to check for them just for convention mode, when really all I want to say is if they press something on the gamepad, don't restart on them. Alright, so what do I do? Go to the input manager. Let's see what the axes are called again. Accelerate. See, if I say like, if I change accelerate to be accelerate gamepad and a different one for accelerate keyboard, I have to go through a lot of scripts that check for those inputs and change all of them to be accelerate this or accelerate that. And, you know, I'm liable to miss one, cause more bugs. Are there any that I'm already using? Reverse, afterburners, strafe left. Gamepad left horizontal, gamepad left vertical. That would get me most of the way there. Like, I don't think anyone's been playing for 90 seconds straight and didn't use the left stick. So that might solve it. It's not perfect though, because they could do that. But the convention mode, I guess by its nature, is imperfect. Designed to stop rude people who just walked away from the machine, leaving it in a broken state for other people. Sure, they're not rude. It's just people being people. But it's an imperfect solution for an imperfect situation, is all I'm saying. People get bored. People walk off. People's friends want them to come do something else. A talk's about to start. It happens. I just have to design for that. I guess gamepad left. If I check for gamepad left, which is it turns left right, that should be enough. I don't have to put in too many more checks. It won't detect the acceleration, but I'm hoping that pretty much no one's going to accelerate without turning. Pretty much the left stick is the first thing anyone presses in any game, pretty much nowadays. Maybe the A button, but after that, they'll press that. Oh, gamepad triggers I do have. Yeah, okay. I'm going to use gamepad left vertical and gamepad triggers. And I think I have a specific one for D-pad. So look, I'll just add them in. It's not too many extras. Oh god, even as I'm about to type this, it looks stupid. If we get any key, or we get a different key that isn't part of any key, so any key doesn't literally mean any key. Actually, I'm just going to fill this out and come back. Although I have a problem where I can't often copy paste into mono behavior, and you have to quit mono behavior after rebuilding everything. Oh no, I don't want that one to be get access. I want the third one to be D-pad down, I think. I've set up bools to the D-pad is an axis, but really the D-pad really feels like it ought to be buttons, and I do want them to do separate things as if they were buttons. So I had to set up my own bools for D-pad down is press, D-pad up is press, D-pad. So essentially it's extra input that I made, and it's now there for free. D-pad down, which is D-pad down is the D-pad down button. Down means this is the frame you pressed it. I'm just gonna type it in and double check that I spelt properly. Gamepad left horizontal, I think it was, and I think gamepad triggers was the other one. And we're still debugging. Yeah, glad I didn't take that out now. No, error. What's the error? Shit. Oh yeah, I'm not printing time anymore, that's okay. What's the error? Oh yeah, sure. I think I have to say that they're not equal to 0. Which it doesn't like because it's a float, but it'll work. Do you know that the way you're supposed to check if floats are equal to 0, because they can be, so many tiny degrees within it, is to check if it's math f.absolute returns true if they're, or no, sorry, not absolute, sorry. Math f.approximately. So is approximately the gamepad triggers 0. Skip a line, do the same here. So if a trigger might be, like a damage trigger might even just be alternating between 0 and 0001, or might be stuck at 0001 or 0.001. So I guess using the approximate is better than using is exactly 0. So if I've spelt these correctly, the debug log will tell me, and will have fixed this problem without making tons of new inputs and just using what I already had. And it's only like 3 more checks every frame, which is fine. Is convention mode on? What's the input manager? Convention mode is on. Did I spell them wrong? Is that why? Oh no. It's not debugging anything right now. If convention mode, if input.any key or these things. Did I save it? I saved it. Oh yeah, I took out the debug. Okay. Okay, here's my... Oh, shit. I'm not doing anything and it's restarting every frame. Oh, I think I said if they're approximately 0 and I meant to say if they're basically not 0. So I'll just put an exclamation mark in front of those two. I was worried there for a sec. Just being stupid. Okay, nothing's happening. Press keyboard buttons. Restarting. Move the mouse. Nothing happens. I could check for that, but there's not really much mouse use in the middle of a mission. Clicks. Do it. Yeah, it's all good. Back to the gamepad now. Yeah, so it's... And this is just the left stick restarting every time I use it. Okay. Right stick, no, but we don't use the right stick anyway right now. Right trigger, yes. Left trigger, yes. D-pad left, no. D-pad right, no. Or that was up, right, no. D-pad down should restart. So that number should go beyond 317 when I press D down now. Yes. Holding it, yeah. What else did I add? No, that was it. Triggers, horizontal, D-pad down, and any key. And it reset the timer for all of those things. So that's that working. Which also means I spelt these correctly first time. Which I shouldn't get a medal for, but you know. Yay. Okay, so that was the biggest bug. So something else I will do. I'm going to go back to the... Actually, yeah, this checkpoint is fine. So we'll start the game in this checkpoint. I want to look at what the fungus block looks like. Here it is. I want to look at what it's like without the frame. So just going to edit it a bit. The panel, right? If I take away the panel or make it more clear, maybe. I'll just go fully clear for a second. And you've lost the header text because it's black on black now. Name text, is it name text? Yeah, name text. I guess I'll put it to white, but the problem... Or gold, maybe? Yeah, gold's still legible, and it stands out as different from the other bit. So I think... I'm worried about losing the thing here, but it does flash and will be on a bigger screen, so let's just try. I think I have to turn it off or I get an error. That doesn't look gold anymore, does it? I think the fungus block, or possibly something I'm already doing, is messing that up. Okay, so... You know, the question is, how does that look? Better without the frame or worse? Let's just use it a bit. I don't need to be traveling around. That is... Okay, if that were gold, I think would be kind of okay. When I'm on the keyboard, right, E is pretty clear. I'm not going to miss a flashing white E there. Then I go back to the gamepad, and that's kind of missable. That said, this is just the first icon I threw in, so we could definitely change that icon to be more readable. Just to see a bit more of it typing out. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I'm not so happy that the advance button is like when I have a short sentence, the advance button's all the way over here. Yeah, Chris didn't come back. Chris Cregan is one of the main, well, I think he's the main dev, definitely one of the devs on Fungus, which is a free Unity plugin used mainly for, well, best used for making text adventure stories, but amazingly used making tons of other things. He would be the best one to talk about, you know, like anchoring that over here. Of course, he could only type into the chat. He wasn't like on a Skype with me, although maybe we do that someday. I'm not gonna put words into his mouth. If we had like a more Fungus oriented episode sometime, possibly he'd be willing. We'll see. But yeah, he would be like, this line just looks bad to me now. Whereas if it was in its frame, it would look fine, I think. I mean, that still looks a little empty, but it's within its frame. The problem is the frame takes up, 2/3 of the bottom of the screen and a quarter of the verticality of the screen, just to say 3 lines. It's very much just plonked there. And even though it's kind of transparent, this part isn't, and there might be an asteroid coming this way that you're going to miss until it's right here. So yeah, getting rid of the frame seems good. Changing it to, like, I don't think I'll get rid of the frame for the build that I'm going to upload first necessarily, because actually I might just play through the whole thing, not right now, and see how I feel about it. If I change that D-pad icon there to something brighter, it might be okay. But and yeah, that last line wasn't skippable, but Chris was in the chat earlier and told us how to skip it, so we will do that. Here's our spawn from distance thing from probably a month ago in action. Spawns an enemy by kind of flying him up, but never flying him straight onto your screen. There's another bug here that the afterburner isn't working because I didn't go through the afterburner tutorial. Now, I thought I fixed that bug, but it might be happening for a second reason in other situations or something. So I have a bit of a list, like other things I took down from people in the demo, other things I noticed that I wanted to fix, or improve, or add another GIF tutorial. But they take quite a while to do each one, so I'm not gonna. It's a bit late in the stream right now, and today's meant to be my day off. Not normally, but normally I work Monday, but having worked pretty much crunch week last week and then worked all weekend at Eirtakon, just to come in early, be at it all day and go home and be sick throughout all of that. Today was my day off. So I'm going to end the stream now, rather than going, usually we go to 2 hours or the nearest best stopping point. And rather than launch into something new, this is a good stopping point. So next stream will be Thursday at 8 p.m. So that's 3.5 days. I probably will have the demo up before then. But it's possible I'll still have like a last thing that I want to change or tweak or test, and can do that on the stream. So we'll see about that. But what we'll be moving into after this demo is up, or maybe before it actually, is a bit more on game feel. So when the arrow turns left or right, the arrow being your ship, I'll just open it up for the crack. It doesn't roll at all. It just rotates this sprite. But we have a whole rolling animation there for when you do a real dodge roll. So what I want to try is turn left gives you the first few frames of that dodge roll. And that would give you a little bit of a turning feedback, I guess. Just better game feel. I want to do things like turn down the brightness of the stars in the background. There's a lot of little things. And so the more then we do before getting this demo out, the better it will be when you download it. But all the same, I can just put it up, make changes later, put up a new version. There's no deadlines on it right now. Like, yeah, actually I have no deadlines at the moment, other than, you know, running out of money in a year or something. I have no conventions coming up. So what we're going to be doing out anyway after that demo is up is, this is like a half a vertical slice, if you will, because it's got the combat mode and a reasonably sensible mission to head through. But we don't have the strategy layer at all. So it'll probably take a few months. Well, I'm hoping, you know, 1, maybe 2, to get a few rooms, like the wing commander rooms, like the pilot bar and a briefing room and stuff. We want to do a system that looks a bit like that, but functions a bit more like the Xcom rooms of, like, this is your room for upgrading your ships, this is your room for checking out your dead pilots, stuff like that. So combine a bit of Xcom and Wing Commander. And obviously a lot of our own flavor on it. I want to get a few rooms so that you can go from this mission back to your capital ship, essentially your home base, and sort of see how the larger metagame plays out, or not even the other half of the game, the strategy half of the game that takes you through the story and lets you plan your missions and all that sort of thing. I'm just flying perfect circles around this thing because I'm idle. Oh, that wasn't a perfect circle, I hit it. Anyway, so the vertical slice will probably be a lot of what we work on the next month's worth of streams, maybe a bit more. It's, I guess, the next priority. Oh man, this feels so smooth. Once you get used to flying and turning, no one gets it in their first 5 minutes of play, really. But I mean, this still feels great to me, to just fly around like this. Once you're more used to, you know, you don't go where you're pointed, you go where your momentum is pointed. And once you get used to steering like that, and it only takes a few minutes, you really start to just feel how smooth this game is and how different it is to like a dual stick kind of a movement, where you just, you know, press the left stick to travel left, and if you're not pressing left, you're going to stop. This really is different, and I want people to get their hands on it and for more than like 2 minutes at a convention, because it is for space game fans who prefer deeper games, and, you know, I'm hoping they'll give it more than 2 minutes. And although those first 2 minutes, I have to make sure that they're, you know, gripping and, you know, don't turn them away. But I don't know, I still really feel that there's something here, that this feels different to other games, and it feels like the old Asteroids. And speaking of which, I think I've shown this once or twice on the stream, but I have an Asteroids mode, essentially. Not where you shoot, well, I could spawn asteroids and shoot them, but just a screen-locked version. And this feels exactly like Asteroids, because essentially it is, in terms of movement. So yeah, I think there is something unique about this game. Not unique because it's copying Asteroids, but unique as of the last 40 years. Was it 77? Or no, 73. So 43 years, I think, if I'm right about 73, not 77. 40 years-ish. Yeah. That's the end of the stream. See you on Thursday night for probably, I guess, polishing off the rest of this demo. We'll get it uploaded, so at least by the weekend people can be playing this. And then in future we'll be on the strategy layer. Thanks for watching. See you Thursday. Where's the off button? Here it is. Bye-bye. No, wait. Bye-bye. It's a confirmation.